Hello, welcome back to Friends with Cinefits, the movie review podcast where I am joined each week by a guest to explore a movie of their choice that the critics love and the audiences maybe don't appreciate as much. I am your host, Alex, and on this episode, my friend with Cinefits is my friend and former coworker, Jake. If you are an OG listener, you'll recognize him from episode 17, which was over 4 years ago, where we reviewed a less pretentious movie with Guy Ritchie's The Gentleman. For his return, Jake chose another A24 movie from 2017, just like Jose did last week. And this time we discussed the Safdie brothers' Good Time, starring Robert Pattinson. In this movie, Good Time, two brothers attempt to rob a bank, and it doesn't go smoothly. So we follow one of the brothers kind of on the run through this nighttime odyssey through New York City as he deals with the outcomes of that bank robbery. This should be a mostly spoiler-free discussion of Good Time, so if you haven't seen it, you should be fine. So without further ado, here's our discussion, and thank you so much for tuning in. So, I want people to get to know you better, so I have some movie-related questions to kind of get a
Okay.
judge for what types of movies you like. So, first question, what is a movie that you loved in high school?
Ooh. Hot Fuzz is the first one that
Oh,
comes to mind.
nice. Okay.
Yeah, there's probably a ton more, but that was the first, remember that in high school heavily. Had the DVD and probably watched it many times.
Yeah, that's a good one. I feel like Edgar Wright hasn't had a movie in a while.
I know it's sad, but I also haven't I don't know, do you remember his last one that he had? There hasn't been a lot of Simon Pegg and Nick Frost,
Yeah.
Edgar Wright trio in a minute, but I'm sure Edgar Wright's had at least something that I'm not thinking
He
of.
had Last Night in Soho.
Oh yeah, I haven't gotten to that one yet. When I saw trailers for it, I was interested, and then I never got to it.
I was also interested by the trailers, but I think I did not have a good time with it, but
Okay.
it probably deserves a rewatch. Similarly, like Baby Driver, I used to love Baby Driver, and then the last like two times I've watched it, I don't love it as much. But
Yeah,
I think Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead, like both of those I can go back to and watch anytime.
still hold up. Yeah, for Baby Driver, I that used to be my running playlist because it's an
Okay.
amazing soundtrack,
Yeah.
regardless of like going back and visiting the movie, which I'm not sure if I have, but I did really like it when it came out too.
Cool. Okay, next question. What is a movie you wish you could watch again for the first time?
Mm, that's a tough one. Uh, I mean, maybe a basic answer, but like right off the bat, like I'm thinking back towards high school, I saw The Dark Knight in theaters, and I don't know, as soon as he busts out the Batmobile, like that scene alone,
Yeah,
not including like the opening scene, that scene was like I was losing my mind. So that's what popped in my head immediately. But yeah,
nice.
Dune 2, I saw several times in theaters.
Really
I would love to see that again for the first time.
good answer. We just did the double feature this weekend where we watched Dune and Dune Part 2. And when Dune 2 came out, I said I liked Dune 1 better than Dune 2. And then we just watched them back to back. And I didn't like Dune 1 that much at all. And then Dune 2, I was like, man, this movie fucking rocks.
Yeah, I love Dune 1, but it's been one of my favorite books since high school. And but when I got out of the theaters, I was like, this was perfect for me. I could see how a person that doesn't know the books wouldn't like it. So I was kind of surprised by the reception of it. And then everyone loved Dune 2, and I think it deserves that
Yeah.
much love.
Yeah, that it's huge. I was kind of hoping after Dune 2 that Denis would go on to do something else. Um,
Yeah.
but then after we just watched both, I'm like, okay, I'm excited for Dune 3. And then after that he can go do something else.
Denis so good. Like, yeah, you want him like having his own. Like, I don't want him to do another IP if
Yeah.
like some other IP if he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
he wanted to do Dune for so long, and I think he crushed it.
Yep.
So I'm welcoming another.
If you like the Dune books, have you heard of the Expanse series? It's like a sci-fi book.
Yeah. So I haven't read them, but I watched most of the series. I don't know if I ever finished it.
Okay,
Like the maybe I did like the probably watched four seasons, and then the fifth one came out, and I'm a terrible TV
same.
watcher. So
Yeah, I started the books in December, and I'm about to start the fourth one, and I'm not a big reader at all, and I'm flying through those puppies. And all I can dream of is Denis making The Expanse into movies because I'm like, he's the only one that could do it and do it any justice. But like you said, I don't want him to do any existing IP. So it's
yeah. I, were they not? And I may be wrong about this. I thought they were going to end the series with a movie,
it
but maybe
it
I'm
got
thinking of
canceled.
something else. Oh, okay.
Um, so I don't know, but I know it was on Sci-Fi and then it went to Prime and it was a Prime original and
Yeah.
then it got canceled.
I think it's hard to have like four or five seasons of a show and then have like producers want to do a movie that follows it. Like that's so much leading up to it. Like you have to invest so much time. I think a lot of the Marvel movies are facing this struggle now with all
Yeah,
the Marvel
all the
TV shows that you
series.
now have to
Yeah.
watch to make sense of the movies.
Yeah, that's true. I think too, like you'd kind of have to do almost a like straight to streaming movie if you're gonna do that because
Yeah.
I everyone is used to watching that content like in the comfort of their own home, and then it's like now you want me to go out to a movie theater to watch this? I could see
Yeah.
that.
And if my boy Denis ever goes straight to streaming,
Yeah,
I'm done.
yeah, that's a good point. Okay, next question. What's your guilty pleasure movie?
Uh, Honestly, like the Fast and the Furious
Okay,
series is a ton of fun. I don't think I've finished it, but like guilty pleasure. Like I don't put them on regularly, but when I went, like I had watched the first three like as a kid, and like starting that up, it's just fun. It's dumb and
yeah.
fun.
Yeah. I feel like part of why I wanted to do this podcast is bring it back and be snobby. So that's part of the fun of having the guilty pleasure movie question. But we've recently watched the first one, and it's so much fun. Like I want to keep watching. I think I really liked Fast Five,
Yeah,
and then after that, it's a little bit. I don't know if I caught all of them, but yeah, they're pretty absurd and pretty fun.
I think Fast Five where I was like, okay, I get this,
Hmm.
and then I think I may have watched two more, and I still want to keep watching. Like I don't know how many there are now,
Yeah. Once
but
once you get John
yeah.
Cena and The Rock in there and whoever else comes in later on, it's like
Statham comes
yeah,
in.
Jason Momoa I think was in one.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, there's
I
too
don't
much
think.
going on for me. Okay, next question. What was your favorite movie going experience to the theater? It could be Dune Part 2 when you first watched that. Anything else?
I mean, definitely Dune 2. We did Barbenheimer. We mixed in Dave and Buster's in the middle of it
We
to give us a break after
we
Oppenheimer.
mixed in Applebee's. Dave and Buster sounds a little more fun, but yeah.
We bought shirts too with
Oh,
Barbenheimer on
really?
them.
That's cool.
We went all
You
in.
went
It was
Oppenheimer then
fun.
Barbie?
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought we needed like a little lighthearted thing to end of the night, especially after like some drinking at Dave and Buster's. I don't want to have to lock in for 3 hours of
Yeah,
Oppenheimer.
that's true. That's true. I did the opposite. And it was like you leave the theater crushed. Okay, so I'll move on to Good Time, directed by the Safdie brothers, released in 2017. This is another A24 movie, second one in a row. Also, this is the third movie in a row from 2017 I'm reviewing out of
Wow.
four movies. So good year, I guess. We'll see if I keep it up.
Not on purpose. You let us
Yeah,
pick.
exactly. It's kind of weird. This has a 91% with the critics and an 82% with the audience. So not a big gap. I think
Yeah.
last episode had like a 25 to 30% gap, so a little bit bigger. But I do feel like this might be the most approachable movie I've covered so far. I think you could watch this with the boys and they would maybe enjoy it. And I feel like the other movies I've covered, if you're watching them with the boys, they'll think it's
Yeah.
boring.
Yeah. I will say, like, as soon as I started watching, I don't know, I feel like the opening credits were kind of like 15 minutes in or 10 minutes in. Like,
Yeah.
there was a lot, and they kind of went on for a while, but at that point, I was like, oh, I get, like, this is going to be a hard movie to
Yeah.
watch. It's uncomfortable. And, like, I was like, oh, same vibes as Uncut Gems. Because I don't think I've seen another Safdie brothers film besides that one.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask was if you'd seen Uncut Gems. So you saw Uncut Gems first, and this was your first time seeing Good Time, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Last night,
And then
finally got to it.
nice. They also had Daddy Longlegs with which just entered the Criterion collection, I believe. I also haven't seen it. And then they also had Heaven Knows What, which is another movie I've heard a lot about. I think Heaven Knows What and Daddy Longlegs were pretty big on like the festival circuit. So definitely more snobby movies. And I saw that's how Robert Pattinson got involved with Good Time was he saw some of their other movies and reached out and said he wanted to collaborate. And they had actually written Uncut Gems before they wrote Good Time. And they were like, he's maybe not Robert Pattinson for Uncut Gems. It's not a good fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they ended up writing Good Time and having him in it. And then after Adam Sandler saw Good Time, he was like, guys, I want to collaborate. And then they were like, okay, I think they rewrote Uncut Gems to kind of focus on Adam Sandler a little bit. So
Okay. Man, if they had written that without Adam Sandler in mind, I would have been very impressed
yeah.
because I don't know. I couldn't imagine anyone else in that
Yeah.
film.
I just watched that last night. Well, rewatched it. I'd seen it before. I did not like Uncut Gems the first time I saw it because the anxiety you get from it. And I watched that before I saw Good Time as well. So then whenever I watched Good Time, it was similar to the experience you had where it's like, okay, I know what I'm getting into. This isn't going to be fun. Like I'm not going to feel great after this, but I know what I'm getting into.
So, like, I mean, talking about the critic rating versus the audience rating, as soon as the film ended, I went on to Letterboxd or Rotten Tomatoes to see what Uncut Gems was, and that had a way bigger gap than I was expecting.
Really?
It was like 92% to 50.
Wow.
And yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I love Uncut Gems, and Good Times I really really enjoyed. I don't think it left me with the feelings Uncut Gems did, and I watched Uncut Gems in theaters where like you
Yeah.
could like I was squirming in my seat the whole time, and thank God I was alone in the theater watching this one because I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
doing the same at home for this one.
Man,
But
honestly, like after I watched Uncut Gems last night, I was seriously like, man, I kind of wish we were talking about Uncut Gems. Like, but
yeah,
also I watched a Good Time over 2 weeks ago, whenever it was still on Max. And so I was like, well, dude, I'm not gonna rewatch it. I'll just watch Uncut Gems. But I can definitely I'm kind of surprised by the discrepancy in Uncut Gems, but if you think about it, it's kind of Good Time just leaning a little bit more heavily into it. Like Good Time touches on like the main characters kind of marginalizing minorities, even like how they wear like they kind of do blackface with the heist scene in Good Time, and then in Uncut Gems they talk about like how they are kind of manipulating the people in Africa to get these diamonds and then take them into and sell them to basically other minorities from all the customers that are in the shop. Also, Good Time, like you see the quick cuts, a lot of close-ups, a lot of people talking over each other, and then Uncut Gems just dials that up to where instead of two or three people talking over each other, it's an entire room screaming at each other. And then there's also phones are ringing in the background. So I definitely
yeah. Somehow, yeah. The premise of Good Time would feel way more chaotic than like the premise of Uncut Gems, but Uncut Gems is way higher with
yeah.
the I think this chaotic scenes,
Yes,
even
definitely.
though Good Time had their share of them.
Yeah. I feel like both of them are anxiety porn. I don't know if like people like anxiety. I don't know. Maybe like skydivers or people I guess that's not that's like thrill seeking, but um,
Yeah.
Alexis like walked into the room for like 3 minutes of Uncut Gems. She was like, "I gotta get out of here. I can't deal with this going on in the background."
I was glad I watched. I was like, Mari would not have liked that one
Yeah.
with Good Time. I think she's watched Uncut Gems, but
So, do you think Good Time is more of a guy movie than a girl movie? I don't
yeah,
know what
I don't
makes
know.
one or the other.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I don't. This one's tough. Like, there was like I don't know her name, the young black girl. That was very gross, and I think Mari would have turned that off immediately
Yep.
and not gone through it,
Yep.
which I get. So maybe in that aspect, but Good Time or Uncut Gems also guys can relate a lot more too because I mean typically guys are sport betting and betting just a lot more than women.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I looked up after watching Uncut Gems when that movie came out versus now, the increase in sports betting, and it's like 800%. It's grown that much. And I'm wondering if people maybe got the wrong idea from sports betting. They see him like hitting that big jackpot at the end and they're like, "Oh, it's that easy?" Like, yeah, I don't do any sports betting. I used to.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Well, what happens is you bet $5 your first time and you win $300 and you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is incredible." And then it doesn't happen again. At least for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. For no one.
I remember I won't say any names, but one of my friends, this was a few years ago, I was like, I knew he bet on a lot of sports. I was like, how much money have you bet in the past year on sports? Because he tracked it. And it was like, oh, $80,000. And I was like, okay, and like you're up or down, how much? And he's like, I'm up about $5,000. I'm like, what is like five? That's not enough to be like risking your
But
life and limb for.
that's true. But if I mean, if you look at it as a hobby, like hobbies cost
Yeah.
money, and you make $5,000 from a hobby, I don't know any hobby I have that I've made $5,000 from.
Damn, that's true. That's true.
It's not fun saying gambling's your hobby,
Yeah.
but
There's probably some other stuff going on with you. I-
you have fun doing it. Like I don't bet that much, but I think at one point I looked and I was like a couple thousand in. I think I had like I was right around like I
yeah.
hadn't lost more than a couple hundred and I hadn't gained more than a couple hundred. So I'm like, whatever. Over 5 years,
Yeah.
it's fun
Y-
for the moment.
Yeah. I one year I won a bunch of money in fantasy football, like all in one year. And I took it out and I put it in Bitcoin over the summer. And then it like quadrupled. And I was like, okay, like I'm going hard in fantasy football. Like I'm sports betting. I was doing DraftKings so much, lost it all in like 3 weeks as the NFL. I'm only an NFL fan. So, and then I was like,
Investing wasn't your takeaway from
no,
that.
not at all.
Gambling
I was like, oh
was.
my gosh, even more to gamble with? Heck yeah. Okay, Good Time. So I think we kind of talked about the heist scene. Um, I thought that,
We touched it.
yeah,
Touched
I
it.
wanted to talk about it more because I think on first watch, I was like, oh, like this is cool. They're doing a heist. And then on this watch, it just made me sad that because the opening scene is the Nick character in therapy and he's like he starts to have a tear and like he might be having a breakthrough and then Connie played by Robert Pattinson comes in and tears him out of there and then you get the bank robbery scene and it just breaks my heart that he's using his brother to do this and I feel like throughout the entire movie Robert Pattinson like his character you don't see him having any foresight into any decisions he makes. Like he's just going off the cuff, trying to do something. And I think it would have helped if maybe we had the reason why they were robbing the bank in the first place.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you this because on the note that they hand the bank teller, they're asking for 65 grand. And like it looks like it's going well at first. They get money immediately. it before like the cops would have much time to respond, but then he's like, "No, I need 65 grand." I was gonna ask what you thought the 65 grand was for. I think I might have an answer, but it's through Benny's character's conversation
Ooh, okay. I
that I think I had.
I have no idea, so I'm interested in yours, but I did want to say that they like do the robbery so well up till that point where they're like they could have gotten away with the money and then they're like, "No, go back to where we can't see you and we want 65 grand." And that's where shit goes wrong.
That's when you realize, oh, they're gonna keep fucking up the whole time. Like they could have been out of there with money. This is what we're getting ourselves
I'm
into.
glad
Like that
you
was
caught
like the
that.
first taste of it. I don't know if that like I was like the first time when I saw it, I was like, no, no, don't do this. I didn't immediately
Yeah.
realize it was gonna be that for the whole movie. Um,
Literally the entire movie.
but so for the 65 grand, this is through Benny's character, or Benny Sadfi's character. What
I think
uh
Nick it,
Mike Nick Nick.
yeah.
Okay.
You can say Benny, it's
So
fine.
he's talking to his grandma when he's in prison. I think it's his grandma trying to like, and he's like, we were gonna buy a farm. Um
Mm,
so this is coming from, Nick's character, not entirely reliable, but I was wondering if you thought there was anything else. That's the only thing I could come up with what the 65 grand might have been for, is he wants to go to a farm, him and
yeah,
Connie.
that totally makes sense. I feel like you're definitely right there.
I want to
Yeah.
kind of bring up something else
Yeah.
up to that point. Like very quickly on, I was like, "Oh, this is giving of Mice and Men vibes." And then I heard that conversation on the. I think that's why I remembered it so well. It was like I'm like Connie and Nick giving me of Mice and Men vibes with George and Lenny already. And then Lenny and of Mice and Men's dream the whole time was to have a farm and pet rabbits.
Gosh,
And so I think that's why it stuck
I'll
with
cry
me.
just thinking
But
about Of Mice and Men right now.
yeah, I've been reading. John Steinbeck's my favorite writer, and I just finished Cannery Row,
Okay.
um,
I
which
haven't read that one yet.
I absolutely adore it,
Okay.
and it's not heartbreaking, unlike
Really?
all of his other
Yeah.
books. Yeah,
This is the fourth episode since I've brought back Friends with Cinefits, and this is the second time that me and a guest have talked about how much we love John Steinbeck. So it's perfect.
I love that. That's crazy. When I was watching this movie, I was like, "Oh, this is perfect."
Yeah, I never
I
thought of
love it.
that. That's a good one. I Since you brought up him in prison having the phone call, it's kind of unrealistic that someone that developmentally disabled would just be in like the general population in jail or in prison like that. Like I feel like there's very obviously something wrong with him and he just gets put in with everyone else and then you have the scene where there's a fight breaks out and everyone gets pepper sprayed and it's so hard to watch because he does not deserve to be there and I feel like the optimistic side of me thinks, oh, that wouldn't happen in real life. Like obviously there's something wrong with him, but I'm sure stuff like that happens all the time.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think there's much evaluation and separation
Yeah.
at the base level of those things.
God, that sucks. Yeah, I was curious. I think Connie, the Robert Pattinson character, throughout the entire movie is kind of the worst, personally. But on your first watch, like, do you think he has any redeemable qualities? Like, I think the first time I watched it, at the very beginning when he like breaks his brother out of therapy or whatever, and the whole time like he's trying to break him out, I felt like he was probably trying to assist his brother, but on rewatches it's been like, god, he was so close and you're just like ripping a normal life away from him. uh
Yeah, I mean, I don't have an answer for the opening scene where he ripped him away from the therapist who was trying to put him in like a learning program for people like him. But I do think like he loved his brother. I mean, I think we saw it. He loved his brother more than anything, and like that seemed to be on his mind the entire like every action he took after the initial heist, but after running away, kind
Yeah.
of, kind of led, like, showed his love for him.
That's the thing though, is like, how can you rope your brother into doing this heist with you when you know he has these problems? And then also whenever they're running away, like he tries to help, but like ultimately ends up leaving his brother. For me,
Yeah.
that's like the deal
I don't know.
breaker.
I think like, or I'm about to be jumping all over this
Feel
movie, so
free.
hopefully we're not expected to go in
No,
like order. But towards the end, when he's having the scene with I think it was his name was Ronnie, the guy that he
It-
I thought I wrote down the
yeah,
names.
that he
I did
he
not.
accidentally kidnapped, kind of.
Yeah, remember when they're in that apartment and the Ronnie, let's just call him Ronnie at this point until you correct me.
I'm trying to find it.
Ronnie was having a
Ray,
conversation with him. Ray, okay. I was
close.
got the first letter
RY.
right. uh Ray was having a conversation, and I think he was talking maybe like we're not that far apart, like we're not that different. I get what you're doing, and then Connie was like, don't, don't compare us, and he thought he was so much better than
Yeah.
Ray. I think like Connie thinks he's way smarter than he is, and like I don't think there's much forethought going into,
I
like you said, anything he's doing.
Yeah, I think he makes decisions so quickly without any thought of the consequences that maybe he mistakes that for being smart or intelligent or better than someone else. Like, you make a decision and then it's either right or wrong and you got to live with it. And at least he can rationalize, like, I made the right decision and something else came up, but now I'm going to make a decision immediately, not think of the consequences, and it's going to be the right decision. Whatever comes up in the future, I'll just make the right decision again.
Yeah, I mean, and there were a few times where it like almost worked, like the heist.
Yeah.
He almost, like, I mean, he did get away with the money. His brother got taken into jail, and then when when he tried to break his brother out of the hospital, I was like, oh, I didn't see that coming, and it worked.
Yep.
It was not.
It's kind of crazy when it turns out to not be him. I feel like I noticed this on the rewatch because I knew it wasn't going to be the right person, but he's wheeling him out, and I swear they had Benny Safdie in the chair with, you know, bandages on, but I was like, I swear that's him.
I was wondering because Benny looked much larger than Ray.
Yeah. They're
Like,
two different body types. Their faces are even different. Like they had a lot of makeup or anything and all that.
they had the bandages on, which I was like, okay, maybe I was just thinking
Yeah.
this person had a massive face, like Benny or Nick.
So I feel like this takes us to one of my, well, I guess we got to talk about the scene where they go to that family's house that they like follow out of the hospital. And that's a hard scene to watch. I feel like not even obviously to cover whatever happens, he kisses that teenage girl or whatever, but even before then it felt pretty predatorial in my opinion. Like I was like, oh, is he gonna try to like take advantage of this little girl? And then whenever it happens, I'm like, oh, I'm not surprised, but I'm not happy.
Yeah, I didn't see that aspect of it. I was
Okay.
like, don't steal from these lovely people
Yeah.
that have been. I mean, don't know if they're lovely. The grandma, like, the granddaughter hated the grandma. I don't, could be for any reasons,
Their
but I was like,
fridge too.
don't do this. Yeah. Oh,
Ugh.
yeah. It wasn't. No.
Yeah.
Okay. You're right. But at first I was like, please don't take advantage of them. And then he did even worse.
Yeah.
So,
So he starts making out with her to distract her from seeing him on the television. But
yeah,
like, would you rather would you rather be a pedophile or a criminal that's wanted on television?
I don't think he cared. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was those
It's,
immediate decisions he's always making,
yeah. So the part that I remember most from this movie is when they go to that like Adventureland and they're looking for is it like acid in a Sprite bottle or
They were looking. There was money that they had been making that whole day selling it, and then the Sprite bottle was just like the bottle full of acid was there.
yes. I always remember that experience, and they go there, and the security guard catches them, and then they beat the shit out of him. Yeah, I always remember that scene and the Connie character stealing his identity, basically. And that's the one time that he like makes a snap decision, and I'm like, oh my god, he's genius. He gets the police out of here, covers it up, and gets the security guard that knows the truth out of there. They pour the acid, so he's freaking
That
out.
was crazy.
Yeah. Uh,
They that was a lot. I don't know. I don't know if that's all acid. Yeah, that's a fuck ton.
yeah.
I felt so bad for that guys. Like,
Yeah, especially like I guess it kind of goes back to the the racial stereotypes kind of that I feel like the Safdies explore is like that guy's not getting out of there safe because they see a black man who's tripping and this white security guard is saying like, yeah, this guy broke in, so I beat him up and like you guys take him away. Like how long is he going to be in jail or wherever he's going before someone
or
believes
if
him?
yeah, or if his mind even works
Yeah, that's
after that
true.
much acid.
Another thing that I actually love about this movie is the music. It has like this synth kind of
Hmm.
futuristic vibe to it. It reminds me of um oh my gosh, what's that movie with Ryan Gosling? He's wearing the cool jacket.
Drive.
Drive.
Yep. Yep.
Did you see have you ever seen Michael Mann's Thief?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I think you would like that.
Okay,
So,
I'll trust that.
that's a really good one. It's got James Caan from The Godfather. He's the dad in Elf. But I think it's very similar type of music, and it's like this guy going to like he's a thief. He breaks into stuff. So, the music I felt like this is something that as I've watched more and more movies, I don't have the whatever the ear is that like musical people have where they can like hear people play music and like that's a cool G chord. I don't even know if it goes to G. I don't have that. I'm not musically inclined, but as I've watched more movies that have distinct music or soundtracks to them, it really brings me in and makes me appreciate a movie a lot more.
Yep. I think that was like this. It was the first thing, my first note when I think I took a note like towards the end of the movie and then just wrote them all down afterwards. But soundtrack techno loved was like my first note in there.
Do you listen to that type of music generally? Because I don't listen to that type of music, but when I hear it in a movie, I'm pumped up.
So I like disco music and like I think I don't know. No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't listen to like
What's
EDM
disco? Like
or
the
like
Bee
any.
Gees?
Yeah,
Okay.
love that.
nice.
So I mean, there's like some I feel like connection there, but
Yeah.
I'm also not that musically inclined either.
Hmm.
But I didn't realize until the very end it was the same band or producer for the whole movie. I think.
Okay.
And I might be wrong about that, but the only reason, like, I don't think I would have, like, I loved the soundtrack. I don't think I would have, like, thought to look if it's one, like, if I was more musically inclined, maybe I would have recognized it was probably the same producer
Yeah.
or whatever, the whole DJ, I don't know what you call a
I
synthesizer.
don't either.
Um, but it was like the last line from the lyrics in the movie. If we go back to the last scene, if we want to talk about that first, when Nick finally gets into like the special needs group, but I guess when the teacher of that class was asking people to cross the room when they have agreed or like it was a yes for them,
Hmm.
the first time like Nick crossed the room was when the teacher asked, "Have you ever disagreed with a family member?" And that's when, even after like the first one was like, "Do you like candy?" Nick was just kind of standing there in shock, or I don't.
Yeah.
His realization that was the first time he moved to across the room, like he agreed with. It was just so sad, and
Yeah.
that
I think it's very powerful that the movie as a whole is like bookended by these two powerful therapy scenes without Connie, the brother, just Nick. Yeah, that scene is devastating.
You kind of see like what his life will be like. His life, even though Connie was trying to look out for Nick the whole film, he was the problem the whole time. Nick could have been in this session or
Yeah,
organization
the whole
and
time.
helping him.
And you see all of
It
the
was
people's
tough.
lives that Connie kind of destroyed. Like all these people's lives he negatively affected because he was in them. Um,
Yeah, still trying to help his brother. Like that was the intent. Like he
yeah,
was going for bail money the entire time.
yeah.
Like that never changed. Like when he had his girlfriend or whatever was like, we should go to Puerto Vallarta or Costa Rica or whatever. And he was like, do you not hear what is happening right now?
Hmm.
I need to get my brother out of jail.
Which is I thought was a little insensitive of her. Like, yeah, his brother's in jail. Like, wouldn't shouldn't you be a little worried about that? But that's Jennifer Jason Lee. I love her.
Oh, but back to our like the therapy session. I think one of the questions it was after like, have you ever had a disagreement? He crossed the room. Like, yes, I have. There was one. It was like, do you have a friend? And he crossed the room still. So like he's still like Nick still loves Connie. Like
Yeah.
I assume Nick like Connie is his only friend. So it was all sad at the end. But okay. We the last lyric of the song in the like
Yes.
the credits or in that scene was someday I swear we're gonna go to a place where we can do everything we want to and we can pet the crocodiles. And that immediately I was like took me back to Of Mice of Men, where Lenny only wanted to pet bunnies and go live on a farm with George. And I was like, okay, like, but I wonder if like the crocodiles seemed deliberate, rather like saying we want to go pet crocodiles that
Hmm.
stands out. So I was
Yeah,
wondering,
it's like something that can hurt you
yeah,
instead of the rabbits. I wanted to ask.
I started rereading of my cement today because of this.
Nice. I read it last fall, probably. So
Okay.
yeah, that's a fresh one. Um, what's your opinion on Robert Pattinson in general?
I don't like. I think I don't like. Oh, just like not in this movie,
Yeah, not in
or
this movie because Mickey 17 came out this week.
you seen it yet?
I have not.
I really want to.
Oh.
Well, our boy Bong Joon.
I I like Bong Joon, but my least favorite movies of his are the like dystopian sci-fi. Like I'm not a
Like Paris or not Paris,
yeah, I'm
Snowpiercer.
not a big Snowpiercer guy, and I'm not a big Okja guy.
Let's seen
And
that
this
one.
seems along those lines.
Yeah, Snowpiercer I liked. Didn't blow me away, but it was like okay, it was fun, cool. Like it was very cool, but I didn't like love it.
I think with his movies I can always appreciate it, but like it's not Parasite or Memories of Murder is one of his that I love.
I added a bunch to my watch
Yeah.
list, I think, because I realized I hadn't seen any besides Snowpiercer and uh Parasite.
Okay, but Robert Pattinson, I think it's interesting, I guess I'll say something first. He his first prominent role was in Harry Potter, The Goblet
Oh
of
yeah,
Fire. And I think it's
yeah,
interesting that he's known as the Twilight guy.
yeah.
Um,
So I wasn't a Twilight person
okay,
growing up. I think I've
same.
watched bits of the first one,
Hmm.
and that's it. So I don't have like any judgment of Robert Pattinson from Twilight. I liked him as Cedric Diggory when I was a kid watching Goblet of Fire because I loved Harry Potter. And then I love the light. Like I think he's amazing in the. I think his performance in Lighthouse is better than his performance here. Like not that his performance was bad here, but no, he was good, but nothing like really like completely stood out to me in this movie from his performance. But maybe the end scene. It was such a simple scene. I wouldn't even like give him too much credit for it. But when he's in the police car,
I literally wrote down him in the police car in my notes. And it is like he looks defeated for the first time slightly, but then you also still see like maybe he's still calculating in his mind like okay, what do I do next? How do I get out of here?
so it doesn't like I loved it. It wasn't bad. There wasn't anything that I like
Mhm.
saw wrong with his performance, but it didn't completely stand out. But it didn't detract at all. What do you think about Robert Pattinson?
I think I love Robert Pattinson,
I love Bobby P.
but like I love his Batman. Like I just love that Batman movie. I don't know if it's like the best portrayal of Batman or the best portrayal of Bruce Wayne, but I just like how angsty it is. It's fun. It's a different
Yeah,
type of superhero movie that I'm used to. So,
I've I couldn't. I only saw that once in theaters, and I've been wanting to rewatch it. And I think watching it in theaters, it was hard for me to separate how much I love the movie from like where Bobby P stands out. He was great in
mhm.
it, but it's not like it was a performance where I'm like, oh, he's an incredible actor. He's a great
Yeah.
actor.
I think what's interesting about his Batman maybe is like there almost is no separation in his Bruce Wayne versus his Batman. Like it's always the same. And I feel like other ones you get this guy's Batman's really good. This guy's Bruce Wayne's really good if you could put them together. But
Yeah,
his is just like
yeah,
Kurt Cobain the whole time.
yeah. We have to look at the other Batmans. It's been Christian Bale playing the biggest billionaire, you
Yeah.
know, and then we have Val Kilmer and George Clooney as Batman. It's
Michael
like,
Keaton.
bro, yeah,
Yeah.
Michael Keaton. So I love the portrayal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yep, I agree. I don't love Tenet, but I liked Robert Pattinson in Tenet. He's like this suave man. Like I kind of had a man crush on him. I also like I feel like I had the disdain for Twilight growing up because every girl was like obsessed with Robert Pattinson or Taylor Lautner was the other guy. And I was like,
Hmm.
I don't look like either of these guys. Like I got braces. And I was like very jealous. But now like Alexis and I watched
When I started putting my hair out,
yeah,
let's
there
go.
you go. Alexis and I
I wish it
watched
was way later.
Twilight probably a year ago, maybe more than that. Like honestly, it was kind of fun as an adult man. Like, it's dumb, but it's kind of like the Fast and Furious that we were talking about. Like there's something to gain from
I
it.
was gonna say it's your guilty
Yeah,
pleasure
like you get
now.
Anna Kendrick in one of her first roles. Like I also
Yeah.
like Kristen Stewart. I remember when the Twilight movies came out, I was like, this girl sucks. Kristen Stewart kind of rocks. Like,
Mm.
I don't know. I think I'm in. Yeah, I like Robert Pattinson. I don't know if he's my favorite actor, but I would probably put him in like the first 3 to 5 people that I'd name.
I think I wouldn't hesitate. He's one of those actors I wouldn't hesitate to watch. Like any movie he's in, I'm like, okay, it's like I love the direction he's taken after like making all the money from Twilight, where he did The Lighthouse. He gets just be weird as hell with William Dafoe.
Yeah, I love that movie too. I hope he keeps doing weird stuff with like very talented directors. I don't know how Mickey 17's gonna be, but I hope he keeps doing stuff like that. What about the Safdies for you? I think they're maybe going their own ways.
Yeah,
Um,
I think they've split up.
yeah. How do you feel about that?
Well, like I said, I mean, this is my second Safdie brother movie. Have they done a solo one yet? I, I don't want to. I'm nervous because I loved both of these. Like they were really good, but I get it.
Yeah,
I'm more okay with it than the Coen brothers splitting up, I think.
I agree. Benny's done some acting outside of this, and then I think he also produced. Okay, he co-created, wrote, and edited The Curse with Nathan Fielder,
Yep. Okay, yep.
which is another show that is very hard to watch.
I love Nathan Fielder's shows. I never watched The Curse. I think it was on like Stars or
Yeah,
maybe Paramount
yeah, it
that I
was
didn't
on
have at the
something
time.
weird. I tried watching it, but it was a lot like Good Time or Uncut Gems, where it's like I'm feeling pretty anxious about all of this. None of the characters are very nice.
Any other movies, like you were talking about the anxiety porn earlier, any other movies like come to your mind in that
Oh,
realm?
that's a good question.
I
Um,
know that there are. I feel like there's like some obvious ones that I wasn't able to think about when you first asked or like we're talking about that.
um, one would be Birdman. Did you ever see Birdman with Michael Keaton?
Yeah, I saw. I need to rewatch it. I saw it years ago,
Yeah.
like probably when it was just nominated, and it did like I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it, but it didn't like
Yeah,
resonate
I
with
think
me a
it's
lot.
different where how the Safdies do it are kind of these quick cuts, people talking over each other. You get these real up close shots, and Birdman is one long. It looks like it's one shot for the most part, but it's like the music gets faster as it goes. The situations get a little more tense as the movie goes along, so it's different, but I feel like it's pretty similar to that anxiety porn.
Yeah, it wouldn't like I mean, you were talking about the continuous shot, so like my mind jumped straight to like 1917.
Yeah, I think war movies in
And
general like are meant to. Um, oh my gosh, what's the Saving Private Ryan? Like the
yep, that opening scene,
yeah, anything like that is
absolutely.
it's weird. It's so similar. We're talking about this movie where it's the aftermath of a man and his brother robbing a bank. And we're just like, yeah, it's like storming the beaches of Normandy. But I think that's the power of filmmaking. That's why this movie is probably like the audience doesn't like it as much as critics or snobby people like me and you.
Yeah. So what I when we were talking about this, I immediately Requiem for a Dream
I haven't seen
is
it.
that, right?
I haven't
Oh,
seen it.
okay.
It's on the
Well,
list.
I don't know. So with me, I get that feeling like I have you watched The Brutalist?
Yes. Yep.
Any movies with heroin in it give me that same feeling. Like I just see their life going, like I can see their life going downhill the second heroin comes onto the scene. And so I had that anxiety through a lot of The Brutalist every time Adrian Brody was relapsing into that. It is like, ugh, like I love The Brutalist. I don't think I'll ever watch it again.
Yeah. That's interesting. Another movie that came to mind was Nightcrawler with Jake Gyllenhaal.
I've yeah, I've seen it, but it was back in like it was back in college, so I don't remember the anxiety from. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Not as bad,
Yeah.
but like that was more like an ick rather
Yeah.
than like anxiety, I think, for me.
Yeah. I think the Safdies are really good, at least together. They're really good at culminating that anxiety porn. I really am curious what it's going to be like now that they're split up. Um, is it Josh? Is
Yeah.
he doing the Marty Supreme movie? I think it's Timmy Chalamet's next movie, and Tyler the Creator's in it.
Oh,
Gwyneth
no,
Paltrow.
that's
Yes,
cool.
it is Josh Safdie.
Strong start for his like solo
Yep.
debut.
Co-wrote with Ronald Bronstein, who also co-wrote Good Time and Uncut Gems, I believe. So I'm excited for that one. I think it should come out. Yeah, it comes out Christmas this year, 2025.
Okay,
So
that's fun.
it's about like a ping pong player or something. That's
Okay.
what I'm like. I was watching Uncut Gems last night, and I'm like, how do you do Uncut Gems, but it's about a ping pong player?
Uh-huh. No, I mean, I would love to see that spin on if that's the direction they go.
Yeah,
Like, I'm excited to see that. Like, what are you gonna do?
yeah. If they keep making movies like this, I guess they're split up. But like if they go their separate ways and they make more anxiety porn, do you think it'll like run its course, or there's a
I could
market
see
for it?
it, but I could see it running its course, but I don't think it's like a guarantee.
Hmm.
Um, I would like to. I would like to see them do something other than it. I mean, I should probably just explore their. I don't know. Their entire filmography
It
is that.
it sure seems like it. Um like
Okay.
Daddy Longlegs, I think is one that's like on the streets of okay, an irresponsible divorced man spends 2 weeks with his young sons. I think it's like on the streets of New York City. It sounds a little crazy.
Yeah, heroin sounds involved in that, and I'm
Yeah.
out.
Have you seen the artwork for it? You should look up the artwork for it. Yeah, I don't know. I think us having a hard time saying movies that are similar to these, like, kind of speaks to the place movies that the Safdie brothers are making have in the cinematic world. Like, yeah, maybe there are a lot out there that just you and I don't know, but
Requiem for a Dream is definitely in that
mhm.
realm and may have inspired. I'm saying that is the only other one I can come up
Yeah.
with. May have inspired the Safdie brothers,
Okay.
but if you ever want to watch it, it's good.
I've
What?
I've heard
But
that, but then everyone's like, I'll never watch it again, but it's a good movie.
I've watched it more than twice or more
Really?
than once. So
Okay.
yeah, I really
I
liked
didn't
it.
know that was possible. I thought if you watch it more than once, you blow up. Okay.
You gotta watch. Look over my shoulder.
Um, I also wanted to say, I think with this movie, it gets to the point where drugs are involved. It's like drugs and money, but I think it's kind of like the Hitchcock thing, where what word am I? The term he coined, a MacGuffin. Like it could be anything that they're looking for. Like at some point, they're looking for money, or it's the Sprite bottle or whatever. Like it could really be anything, and you just have these characters acting the way they are. I'm into it. I don't care what they're looking
Yeah,
for, where it's set. I'm into it.
yeah. Like the drug. I mean, the drugs didn't even come up until like the acid thing.
Yeah,
That wasn't neat. Like it didn't take away from it. I thought actually the scene where that Ray was describing his whole getting out of jail all the way to
yeah,
like losing all the money and ending up back in the hospital was
that's a good
I
scene.
enjoyed that scene a lot. It was a little lighthearted, not quite,
Yeah,
but it wasn't as anxiety inducing
yeah.
scene where I was like, ah, a little break.
It's a really cool way to show, like, to introduce a character, um, and to use narration and flashback like all in once. Yeah, that's a really good scene.
Like pretty terrible comparison, but you know, in like Ant-Man, like Michael Pena scenes where he's
Yeah, yeah, that's
those
true.
were always fun. Like
Man, I forgot all
where
about that. That's Edgar Wright
yeah,
directed that, and then like was canned or something. So
okay, yeah, he was man. I would have loved an Edgar Wright
yeah,
whole Marvel
I
movie.
think with that movie, there are parts in it where you're like, okay, I see some Edgar Wright in here, and then there's
Hmm.
other parts where it just feels way more neutered.
Yeah, I like I love heist movies, so like the first Ant-Man, I like, you know, it's
Yeah.
fun.
Did
Um,
did Good Time classify as a heist movie for you?
yeah, I mean, it did.
Okay.
Definitely more on like the thriller side of it, but uh, not as much planning. I guess that is
Yeah.
a huge part of heist movies, right?
There's some heist movies where I feel like the planning is the heist. Like, is that what
Yeah.
the Oceans movies are, where it's like it's just the
They see
planning?
like you kind of see how it's gonna go, and then sometimes you see like where it actually goes. But yeah, I think there's a lot of heist movies where like the planning is
Hmm.
it's happening all at the same time that they're making the plan.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I could talk about heist movies for a long
Hey, you
time.
got to come back. I think there's some heist movies that the critics have loved and the audience has hated. So
Really?
yeah,
Okay. I'm interested in
yeah,
those.
we can definitely do that. I also love a good heist movie. Um, so I haven't done this with a lot of episodes because I've ran short on time, but I wanted to ask why I wanted to bring the podcast back was I've decided I'm old enough now. I want to be a bit snobbier. I want to wear nicer clothes. I want to eat at only good restaurants. What's something outside of movies that you're snobby about? That like
I'm snobby about a lot of
I
things.
love it.
Clothes, like definitely.
Okay.
I'm
Wait,
I'm too snobby on
where
clothes.
do you get clothes? I'm trying to find some like high quality clothes. I've been buying from Lululemon recently.
I mean, I guess I don't no one would think it looking at me, but I'm big into fashion. So it depends like the route you're gonna go. Like I like playing around with different outfits. It's fun like thinking about my whole wardrobe and like these pieces, I don't know, do they go together? Fuck it, I'll try it out. Um but if you're like in a I think I got like a lot of Japanese clothing brands like an Americana workwear.
Okay.
So Blue Owl is it gets expensive, so don't
No,
honestly
hey,
don't do it.
we're snobby here, man. We like
Don't
expensive.
do it.
The more expensive it is, The better you look.
It helps for sure.
Okay.
Like you can easily get away from like the not good looking stuff, but
It is expensive. I can't confirm.
yeah. But this has been a long time coming for me. Like I think I bought like got into raw denim back in college when I had no money and I bought like a pair of, $120 jeans.
Okay.
Like that. And that was my first step and it just keeps going like heroin. Don't do it. Anyone watching.
Man, I'm liking some of these clothes. They got some sandals in here.
Uh the Japanese do clothes and everything else incredibly well. So
Okay. What advice do you give to someone like me where I want to dress nicer? Especially I'm going into the office now. I go in 2, 3 days a week, but I don't know what to wear, so I just throw on the same t-shirt and jeans I've had for 4 years.
yeah, well, I mean, so I think I guess it depends what you think is dressing nice. Like, I don't like, office wear. I don't think like that's dressing nice.
Mhm.
It can be done well. But I think it's like if you're looking to dress nice, it's like play around with like the silhouette um
What do you mean?
uh, of like silhouette of your outfit where you're contrasting not just like the colors, but like also like the width of your pants to your shirt.
Okay. This is I've
Maybe too
never
many
thought
steps
about that.
ahead. Too many steps ahead. But I don't know. Find like I think like try to find some forums and like look at what other people dress like, and like kind of like, oh, this looks fun. I could play around with this, and like go to a thrift store and you see something that like kind of fits that vibe. Just just don't care, actually, is my piece of advice.
Okay.
Different for the office than like
Yeah.
I don't go into the office. Like I'm in sweats all day at home. And so like the few hours if I go out in the afternoon, I'm like, whatever, I'll just like on with an outfit and I get lazy with it too, but when I'm thinking about it, it's fun.
No, I love it.
I don't know if I had advice there.
No, it was great. I feel like I try not to care, and then I'm like about to leave, and Alexis is like, "You're you're wearing that with those pants?" I'm like, "Not anymore. I'm not."
So yeah, I'll tell Mari, I'm like, I'm doing this for myself, not you, babe.
Okay,
So
I'll try it.
even if I'm like, hey, does this work? She's like, no. I'm like, bah, too late. We're rocking it. I felt something when I picked these out. So
Oh man, I like that. Power moves. Okay, did you have anything else related to Good Time that you'd like to talk about?
good time was. Oh, I did want to ask. Good time was straight up not a good time. But why do you think they chose that film title?
Man, that's a good question. I don't know if it's supposed to be if it's very tongue in cheek, like this is not a good time, like you
Yeah,
said, um,
yeah.
or if maybe that's like he doesn't look like it, but the Connie character might be having a good time because this is where he thrives, is like in this high stakes environment. Um,
All right. Yeah, I see that.
honestly, it's probably just like the name of the Safdie brothers daycare or something that they went to growing up that they're like, oh, good time, like let's call it that.
Or where Nick is now like going.
That's a good one. Yes.
That was inspired by you.
Yeah, I think probably something like that. I did want to ask you. You knew about Good Time going into it. Like obviously you hear people say, "Oh, you should check out Good Time," or you see on Letterboxd people have it hearted. Do you feel like it lived up to the hype you were expecting, or maybe were you let down, or how'd you feel?
So okay, I just started Letterbox like this. I think I made my account like last year, and then I disregarded it until like November.
That's how you do
Um,
Letterboxd.
yeah, but I don't know. I'm not a person that watches a lot of trailers. I don't like go into movies a lot, like unless it's like a big movie, like or it's like a very acclaimed movie, like everyone talks about. Like I won't know what a movie's about when I go into it, besides like, oh, it's a thriller.
Yeah.
I know the genre, but I try to go in blind a lot of the times, which really, sometimes it's not the right
Yeah.
vibe, but sometimes it hits way harder.
Yeah.
I did a double feature on accident watching The Brutalist, and then I got home that day and I was like, I've been wanting to watch What's Kieran Culkin and
Oh, Real Pain.
yeah, A Real Pain. And watching that as a double feature with, I was like, I'd seen some trailers for it like briefly, and I was like, oh, it looks fun. Watching that as a double feature with The Brutalist was so heavy hitting.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I'm
that
like,
does
oh my
not
gosh,
sound
I am
fun.
going through the Jewish plight right now. Like, not even close,
That's
but
funny.
yeah. So I don't remember who, like, why it was suggested to me or why I like initially added it to my watch list. But so I'd say, yeah, I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad it was on there. Um, I'm glad I watched another Safdie brother movie.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Okay, cool. Yeah, I this was a blind watch for me. First time I watched it was January 1st, 2021.
it's a way to start out the new
It
year.
really was. It was the first movie that I was like, okay, I'm gonna track every movie I watch on Letterboxd throughout the year. It was the first one. So it has a special place in my heart. I watched it at my parents' house on their couch. There's a glare on the TV anytime you try to watch anything. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
maybe not the best environment, but also maybe the perfect environment for it.